and until I got my until I graduated. Now, while I was teaching in the summer, but I was also taking courses during the summer. I could take a short period of time and double down, but I couldn't do it for a long period of time. And so I got it. Well, the last semester that I had to go to school, Johnny was working a 4-day, 10 hours, 4 10-hour days a week. So he was home on Friday. So when I went to work, he would, or to school, he would clean the house. When I'd come home, he'd take the children down to the beach, and so I could do my studying. And when we first left McClellanville, we went to Mount Pleasant, had a mobile home on a piece of property his mother owned, and then we started looking for a home, and we found this home on Sullivan's Island. Sullivan's Island was rustic, very rustic. And this house, how many square feet in it?
3,800 square feet.
And it had a wraparound porch. But it was built, and it was two rooms. And then they added on a dining room, and they added on a bedroom, then the kitchen, and they just kept adding on. So it was an interesting house. There was a room in it that had somebody who'd rented it, had marked it all up and drawn pictures and stuff, and the children called it the funny room. And there was a place where you could go in the closet and go underneath, you know, the wall wasn't all the way partitioned off, and they'd go hide in there, and they had a ball at that house, except in winter. It had baseboard electric heat, and that's terrible. So Johnny cut a lot of wood, and we had a wood stove, and we were on Christmas Eve, we were at church.
Which was right across the street.
It was right across the street. It was candlelight, and everybody, and the lights went out. And everybody just thought that was so beautiful. Oh, I was thinking, my electric blanket doesn't work without electricity. And I had really good children, so all I had to do was to have somebody there to watch them, kind of, and they would, some of them spent the night. When I'd come back late in the night, and they'd spend the night, and I'd carry them to their bus stop the next morning, because Johnny was gone. But that wasn't necessarily bad all the time.
My money had to work.
That house on Sullivan's Island cost us a little over $14,000 in 1970.
72.
We sold it in 73.
We sold it in 85.
Oh, okay.
Joe Fudge.
Yeah. But anyway, we sold it for enough to buy a 2,000 square foot brick house with heat and air on 3 acres.
Oh, wow. Great.
Which was part of our farm that my daddy sold.
But while we were on Sullivan's Island, there was wild asparagus growing. And Susan and I used to go pick the wild asparagus, and this friend of mine at work said, "There's a book, I just got through reading it, Stalking the Wild Asparagus." So that was interesting. We had a garden. Johnny's aunt gave me some seeds to plant. Now, mind you, this was on the beach, and when you're on the beach, you have beach sand. And Johnny laughed at me when I planted the seed. The next year, he put me down a well. And then he started help, and we doctored up that soil, and one day the cops came by the house and wanted to know if we were growing marijuana. He saw the okra plants and thought that might be, yeah. Then Johnny wanted a son. And I was getting close to 35, and I said, it's going to be now or never. So, we wound up with 3 children, and I want you to look at the dresses of the girls because I made them. I used to sew well. Now all I can sew is quilts. But that's
Those are done well. Those are done well.
I'm sorry. I retired in 97 or 98 with 32 and a half years teaching. And so we needed something to do to keep us busy and out of trouble because I was accustomed to being real busy. So we started growing flowers. We had 3 acres there. So we grew cut flowers for the florist for about 4 or 5 years. And then we quit.
Came here.
And came, yeah. And we did have a sad experience after we had bought up here. Our son left and went to be with God. And we loved him so much. And he's just the cutest thing. People would say, Jeanette, aren't you glad you had him? I said he was planned. They thought since he came 7 years after the girls that he wasn't. Now, when Johnny's dream had been that we have a place in the mountains. That was his dream, and that was okay. But I was a rosarian. I had 40 tea roses plus other kinds of roses. And I worked on those and worked on them, and I thought, now if John stays here, he's not going to be able to take care of the flowers. You know, that was the main thing that concerned me about moving up here. So when February came, that's when you prune roses down there. There were only 5 or 8 that were worth salvaging. We had deer like roses. So we'd had deer. We'd had them before and they quit coming, but they didn't quit coming this time. So that made it easier for me to move. And Johnny had a cousin that lived in Campobello. And he told us, he said, now when you're going up 26, the property's cheaper on the right than it is on the left. So that's how we wound up here.